um, and he's here to share with us, some of his, you know, life stages and talk a little bit about self-discipline and a lot about what he has done with his life over the past years. So, without further ado, Ed, let go ahead and give give a brief introduction about yourself. We're really happy to have you here, and we're really honored with your presence and looking forward to hear a lot about your history and what you have done so far.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. I'm always very, very happy when someone wants to sit and listen to anything I've got to say. And, I never take for granted that for whatever reason, I've been able to live this life and be in this position to where I have like an audience that people care. And I've done the work and I've extracted lessons from it, and people are able to learn things from me and make their lives better, I hope.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, yeah. Thanks a lot. I mean, I was really excited when you decided to, give us this interview, and we're now, just trying to, get a lot of people coming here and talking to our clients, talking to different audiences that we have with different enterprises at GCE. We have GC Travel, we have GC Radio TV, we have a lot of GC, enterprise. So we're happy to have you here. So why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about yourself, maybe a little bit about how you got inspired. I mean, you're a former boxer. So what inspired you to go into boxing? And a little bit about also, I want to know a little bit about why you like chess so much and when did you get into chess?
Yeah, so I'll start with the boxing first. I started boxing at a relatively late age. I didn't start boxing until I was 22, and the reason I started that is I had spent most of my, from the age of what, 18, we'll say 19 is when I dropped out of college the first time I was in college. So from 19 to like 22, I wasn't really doing anything. And I was also on this like anti-college tirade. And that might seem unrelated, but the girl I was dating, her mother was a college professor, and I would go off on these tirades. And one day, she finally said, she was like, "Hey, um, okay, so let's pretend college is a waste. What have you done with your life for the past 4 years or so, other than eat my food?" And I was like, "Man, what a burn!" And then she threw me out. And it made me think though, like what had I done? I hadn't done anything, and I wanted to put some sweat equity in somewhere. I felt really lost. I mean, I didn't have a degree. I think I was working at Starbucks maybe. Um, and so I said, let me do something. And it was either the military, or I remember this was back right when YouTube was coming out. I said, I'm gonna try the fights. People were putting fights up, and I will watch them, and I go, okay, this is cool. Let me do that. So I had to find the gym, work up the courage to go to said gym, and then I just kind of stuck with it. And my mentality was that I wasn't going to get beat out of the gym. I was either going to succeed or get hurt, so or someone was going to like pull me aside after I got beat up or knocked out a few times. And I've seen this coming up, be like, look, man, this is not your sport. You should probably just let this one go. And those last two things didn't happen. So I just kept having a little success here, a little success there, learning, getting better, improving. And it never made sense to stop, and it was transforming me in a lot of ways, revealing a lot of weaknesses in my character and my approach to things. As difficult things should do, you should be you should reveal what's kind of holding you back, the weak link in your chain, so to speak. And boxing was really good at that. And so that's how I got my start there with fighting.
So the reason I really started by asking this question is because when I go ahead and read, over your social media, some of your books, you talk a lot about self discipline, and then when I think about boxing, chess, and then I think about what you went to college for, which you haven't talked about that yet, but I know. You can relate it very easily to self-discipline. So I just want to understand if you getting into all of this has any relation with that aspect of your life.
I've always understood that, generally speaking, the more challenging a thing is, and the fewer people do it, the more valuable it is. And you really got to have both of those components. There are plenty of hard things that a lot of people try to do, but like I'll never get anything from it. I could try the Iditarod or something, or do the Ironman. That's very difficult. Will I get will I do? A lot of people want to do it though, and where's the value in that? Okay, so that's on. And on the flip side, there are things that not a lot of people want to do, but there's not necessarily any value in it. A lot of people don't want to mop floors, for example, at night, cleaning up hotels or something like that. So you got to find that intersection, and that intersection is where a lot of growth tends to occur. And for me, that's what it's all about. I mean, even when I was at my worst point in life, I always wanted to grow, always wanted to be better. I was never satisfied. I was never settled. I never got comfortable. I never accepted anything around me. Even to this day, I don't. I have a vision of what I will transform my life currently into in the future. So that's what the boxing is. It's an intersection between a difficult thing and a thing that few people want to do or can do, is probably a better way to put it. And so if I go and I train myself, because from a financial perspective, I'm actually writing a piece on this right now. There's not a lot of money in boxing. I like, realistically, I mean, and I had a better career than average financially, and I probably would have made more money if I had worked a $30,000 a year job that whole point in time, that whole time period. But I got but the other things that occurred in my life would not have occurred, because of making $30,000 a year is easy, right? It's $15 an hour. Um, and then same with we talked about chess. I really enjoy how it's not just the difficulty and the challenge, but it's the fact that there are no surprises. Chess, in the purest technical sense of the word, is not even a game. A game, by definition, has an element of chance or uncertainty in it. Chess, there's always a way for the computer to work. Not now we have supercomputers. I mean, you just can't beat them. Um, there's always a solution to the problem. Contrast that to something like poker. It is a game where you don't know what the next card will be, so you're not sure if you should bet high, check, stay low, and you don't know what your opponent has. But so that is why, like, those games are games. Either you don't know what the opponent has, or you don't know what the next course of action is or will be, and you don't have any control over it either, and there's no way to really capitalize. But chess, there's always a better way to go about it. And this is an interesting, like, contrast. A lot of people think that you get good at chess by seeing moves ahead, right? Could not I want to say nothing could be further from the truth, but that's what computers do. They just run a tree down, if this do that, if that do that, right? And they just do it super fast, because that's what they do, and they don't get tired, and they don't have a memory, and they don't have a personality or whatever, right? The way people have to look at chess, and the way people have, is they learn these clumps of situations, and they understand, okay, this is here, so there must be a weakness, or how do I exploit the weakness in said position? How do I develop the strengths, and then how do I put my pieces in an optimal place, so that even though I can't see what's coming, I will be in a best position to kind of take advantage of whatever comes towards me. So chess for a human is a game. They don't necessarily know the future any more than I know the future, right? But I know that if I make the correct steps, and I make the moves with the highest expected value return, then I'm probably gonna be okay. Probably. Same thing with boxing. I mean, there's high percentage moves and low percentage moves. And if you can go far just making a bunch of low percentage but consistent moves, or a bunch of high percentage moves, I should say, because high percentage ones tend to that the trade off with risk versus reward. A jab is a nice high percentage move, right? You can jab. So I've jabbed someone to death in a pro fight. But It's one way to win.
Right,
It's a safe way to win,
right, right.
but
Well,
that
for,
that's how it goes.
for those who don't know, a couple of times Ed and I actually went for wings together, and he beat me in chess. I thought I was okay, but then I realized I was really bad when I played with Ed. but but I got better at it. I've been practicing a lot, especially during the quarantine. So hopefully we'll get the chance to get online at some point and play a game. Play a game.
Well, in exchange though, what? Pero yo vencí a español.
Well,
Pero
sometimes we even went together to practice Spanish as well. I mean, that was kind of our excuse. Are you getting any better at Spanish, by the way?
I am. But it didn't happen while I was in Portugal. Because I was spending all of my time learning Portuguese. But but a really interesting thing occurred because of that. First, I didn't practice. I mean, well, none. I didn't really practice any Portuguese before I got over there, and so everything I picked up there was in the right accent. I learned how to say things the right way, and there was no teacher or there was no like Sebastian, telling me to people just look at me if I didn't know what I was saying, right? So I learned really quickly the power of a proper accent. And I also learned that the romance rules are exactly the same across languages, across, French, Spanish, um, French, Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, and Romanian. But who knows if I'll ever touch Romanian? The point is because I had the foundation of the rules in Spanish. It was really easy in Portuguese, and then coming back to Spanish now. Uh, it's been much easier to think. I've been watching. I only have like one episode left, and then I'll have watched all five Narcos, the one in Mexico and the one in Colombia. And you know what? It's funny, man. Like I know you say that the Colombian Spanish, and now everyone says this. The Colombian Spanish is much easier to understand. I could understand that Mexican Spanish way easier.
Easier.
And I don't know if it was word choice or whatever, but it's just easier to hear. And
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, you have that cultural catch there, and kind of I think if I'm not mistaken, once you went to the north coast of Colombia, I feel like it's harder to understand that type of Spanish. It's quite fast.
It nah, man. Once I got what's funny actually. Speaking of that trip to Cartagena, I remember the first day I was there. I was like, I did all this practice, and it was still too fast. And I was like, man, I still don't know Spanish. By the end of the second day, my brain had completely adjusted, and it was great. I was like, oh snap! Like I'm not like an expert, but I'm not going to get lost. I'm not going to get robbed. Well, I can get robbed, but I would probably navigate my way around. And it was really
Yeah.
cool seeing how your brain adjusts. Those experiences have really laid the foundation for how I approach language now. Like in Portugal, because of a lot of the work I had been doing prior to learning Spanish, I did not waste any time. Much to the dismay of our tutor, I did not waste any time learning grammar, so to speak. And that's probably because I figured out the grammar was like identical almost. I mean, there were some
Mhm.
small differences, but instead I focused on saying the words correctly because that really changes everything. I
Yeah, it
mean,
does.
to the point where like you'll think you don't know and you're just not saying it correct. Like they don't know what you're saying. But once I said it correctly, I was like, oh, the world opened up. All I have to do is I remember one time Anna's my girlfriend. She said, you're not opening. I noticed you don't open your mouth when you try to speak. I was like, huh. Well, because I was just shy, and I was like, oh, why am I shy? I'm not a shy person. Let me go out here and make some mistakes.
Well, I was kind of waiting till the end to mention Anna, but for those who don't know, Anna is also my mentor, was my mentor throughout college. So I'm always pretty grateful to her for everything she did for me. Anyway, kind of going back to what we were saying before, getting into trips and traveling. I want you to talk to us a little bit about how did you go from boxing to writing? that's it. You know, how did that happen in Ed's life?
Well, I've always wanted to write. It's a great exercise. I think, for first of all, from an economical standpoint, you write a thing once and then you continue to get paid off of it. It's kind of cool actually. Um, but from a self development standpoint, writing forces you to organize your thoughts, and they force you to and it forces you to do so in a way that makes you understand what you're thinking about. As I like to say, it teaches you how to think about what you're thinking. That's important because as you write a thing down, you can come to certain conclusions that you may not have come to otherwise if you were just thinking about a thing. So there's that. I mean, there are the benefits, but I got into it. I had been writing, prior to boxing, different types of vlogs, different kind of stories. I always wanted to be a writer. I'm just so fortunate that I was born in the era where anyone, could start a blog. Now, there's a lot of work that goes into growing. You have to make sure your content is useful, that you're connected and all. It really exposes you to the business behind getting words out there. Because good writing by itself doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same thing in boxing or music. The talent is just talent is a necessary uh, condition, but it's not a sufficient one. You need to be able to do more things, I just always have liked the written word, even when I was in my science classes. Um, the way I was able to keep up where my mathematical ability perhaps lacked is I was an excellent explainer and I understood things, and a lot of that comes from making sure you are very comfortable with words and language, because language is used to describe everything, and then each subsect of society has their own language. So there is so many words that I had to figure out how to use properly, so many phrases, so many ways to make sure that I didn't sound like an idiot that just bled over into other parts of my writing. So that is just where I'm at there, and how I got into it. It just always made sense. It's one of those things like I don't ever see myself not having been a writer. Now, to the degree I am now, those are just a good combination of tools and my work ethic switching to it's one other thing. But I've always written and jotted down. I used to take reams of paper when I was in elementary school, and I would write these little stories. I always enjoyed that. It was fun. And now I get to do it at a higher level with to more people, and my writing is just getting started. I mean, fortunately, I've built the base, and we have these social media platforms to make it very easy. I don't want to say very easy, makes it easier than it was in the past to build a fan base. And if any writer that tells you, you don't need a fan base, they're just an artist, and maybe they'll be a successful artist, maybe they won't be, but I know, because I want to do this as a living, I have to figure out a way to continually generate income, and it's changed my life.
Okay, but just out of curiosity, when you started writing, that was your goal to become, famous because of your writings, or was it more just, a hobby, just something you did for fun, and then it just happened to become this?
Um, well, it's not so much that. That's an interesting question. Here's what I used to say to people. I used to say, if I ever become a millionaire, I'll make my first million writing, not boxing. I used to say that while I was boxing, and that's just how I felt. I mean, I just enjoy the written word. Boxing is an incredible, what is the word I want? It is an incredibly difficult thing to do for a long time, and I knew there was not a lot of money in it either. So this was the best way for me to kind of scratch that itch of everyone wants to feel important, and if you can write, you tend to attract an audience, and it
Right.
makes you feel important.
Interesting, interesting. Hey, I also want to ask, about your books. There's one question that we actually got from one of the researchers, that was working on on your interview, and it's one of your books called "Sober Letters to My Drunken Self." And
Yeah.
in that book you said, and I quote, "These are the letters that I wish I had in my darkest hour." How did you feel when you were writing it? And this part of the book, and we want to get a sense from from what was going through your mind, and what does this what does this say about the book you were writing?
So what's funny, when I'm writing that book, I had so many experiences where I was like, man, I need to like reach out to people and let them know like how like I apologize for my behavior and how I feel or felt then, and what I'm come to and what I'm learning. But writing that book was, I wanted to, let's go backwards. What One of the biggest problems when you decide to do something like get sober, especially from something as pervasive as alcohol and socially accepted as well, is that you feel lonely. And I wanted to give people something to make, to alleviate that feeling, because I'm convinced after talking to many people who have gone through sobriety and have gotten clean, whatever. I want That is the biggest challenge: is how are they going to relate to the world? And and I wanted to help a person. I wrote the book. I wrote the book as if I was talking to myself at that transition period, and that gave me a big picture idea to kind of focus on for putting together the book. And each essay in there is something that I think anyone getting sober thinks about, and it addresses some of the doubts that they have trying to, whether they think they'll stay sober, or how far they're going to be able to go with it, or what people are going to think. And that's all I wanted to do, is that I wanted to really channel a lot of my fears, challenges, and feelings when I went through the process. And it's still a process. I mean, like now it's much easier. It's part of my identity. I'm not. It's not really a change, but I know that won't be everyone all the time.
So I just want to know, how was that process? I mean, what was the process for you to, just overcome this addiction? And how is it so different from before? The before and after. What's that process you went through?
So I pretty much. I mean, I sat there one day after another embarrassing night, and I just said that I don't want to go through this anymore. Right. Furthermore, I had some things to lose. When I got sober, it's not a coincidence that the timing of it. I had just got back from the military. I had just met Anna. I had just enrolled in school. Uh, and I felt like, oh, my professional career. And I said, well, if I don't, if none of these things are successful, I don't want to be a sob story. I don't want it to be because I couldn't control my drinking and I went and did something stupid. So I went, and I had not now I had a thing I was running towards. I was like, well, I want to be a better person. I want to maintain this feeling of self-respect. But I also did a projection, and I tell people, have you ever seen The Matrix? The Matrix is great. But there's a particular scene when they're taking Neo to meet Morpheus for the first time, and he's got that bug in his stomach, and they take the bug out, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know what that is, but I'm out of here." And Trinity stops him, and the director pans in on their combo, and he's like, "Why should I keep going? This is crazy." And she goes, and it pans to this dark alley, and it goes, "Because you've been down that road before, Neo. You know where it goes, and you know you don't want to be there." I was 28, and I just happened to choose the year 33. I said, "Well, I'm gonna turn 33 one day, regardless. Hopefully, right? Hopefully, I don't die, nothing crazy. So I'm gonna die. I'm gonna turn 33 one day, regardless. Am I gonna turn 33 with more options or fewer options in my life?" And I thought about it. I imagine what it would be like to be the same guy with the same level of strength and resources at 33 that I was at 28, and that was an absolute failure to me. I didn't want to be a failure. Now, part of that is I had to look in the mirror too. I had to look in the mirror and go, "You're a loser," and that's a hard thing for a lot of people to say. I mean, you can fool yourself all
Mm.
you want. You can fool other people, but once you fool you, but it's very hard to fool yourself. And once you do that, though, then the changes are harder to make. So I'm happy that I didn't let myself fool myself. That's how that went. And so once that occurred, I was chasing a dream, man. I wanted to be a better person, and I was trying to leave behind who I was as well.
Right, right. So let me ask you, throughout this process that you had, with your own, with yourself, were there any pushbacks? Any people, telling you, "Hey, you're not going to be able to make it," or "You're just going to be, the same person forever in life," or you're just,
No, 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 nothing like that. I'm actually really fortunate
okay,
because I got, one of the things they try to warn you about is that you might have to change your entire friend group because that's what you guys, and this is true for a lot of people, that's what you guys came up doing. You were drinking together, and now you're no longer drinking. Why are you gonna hang out? I was really fortunate though. I got a group of friends who I have known at this point longer than I haven't known them. I graduated from high school in 18. I met them when I was 14. So at this point, 21 years, I've known all my closest friends. And they were just like, whatever you got to do, man. I'm on your side. Let's deal with it. And I got a lot of support from my close friends. Lost some friends on the periphery, not really friends, but people I was just drinking with. But I got a lot of good support.
right,
And then as I grew and people saw it was serious, then you get other friends. I mean, my life is just like there is no aspect of my life that is worse since I got sober. I was just talking with a friend of mine today about this, who's also sober. He stopped drinking a little bit before me. He said, I was saying to him, I was like, you never wake up, or when you're drinking, very often you wake up and you go, man, I gotta stop drinking. You never wake up when you're sober and go, man, I really need to be hungover tomorrow morning. I'm tired of waking up healthy and with my eyes wide open and not in pain.
right, right. Hey, and I guess one of the important questions to ask here is, you know, how do we relate all of your, life story to self-discipline? I mean, is this really something about self-discipline and how we can all become better at it at our own pace and in our own life?
Um, is it a thing about self-discipline? Sure, because a lot of people need to make these similar changes and they don't make them. I mean, as far as it being a self-discipline thing for me. See, here's how I feel about discipline. It's a thing you do so you don't have to deal with worse consequences. So in that regard, yeah. I mean, look, because there's another way to get sober. That's being in prison. Then no booze there. But at that point, you've lost the ability to have people forgive you. Now you have forever, because I think I say that in my book, or and I know I've said it on a few of my posts about this. That if because I got control of my drinking before I did something irreversible, like killed somebody behind the wheel, people root for my recovery. People can look up to it. They can use that as an example. But once you cross that line where a person, where you do damage because of your habits, there's nothing else. There's nothing for you. At that point, people just want to see you gone, and I'm really happy I never got to that point.
Hmm. So Ed, was there any spiritual component to your, recovery, to your comeback, to you overcoming the situation?
None at all. None,
Okay.
none. And that's one of the approaches I have in my writing because alcoholism does not care what your religion is. So I didn't want to introduce a religious solution, and I didn't use one either. So instead, what I wanted it to be was a thing that everyone could reference and learn from, regardless of denomination or belief.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting. Quite frankly, I was not expecting that answer from you. Just because I guess there is a pattern out there that when people are involved in some sorts of situations like yours,
Right,
they always look for the spiritual component.
when I wrote it, one of the things I said specifically that, and maybe I said on a post, I think, but I've got a few posts on my website and a book. Um, I said that I don't want, or the one of the problems, I guess, with people trying to get sober or even reduce their drinking is that there's two heavy-handed solutions. There's Alcoholics Anonymous, and then there's the religious move. And I have nothing against either method. I just recognize that perhaps not all shoes fit all feet. You know, you need a different approach for different folks, man. Like I don't, if the only way for you to get clean is for you to change your religion, then then the ho- then that leaves us with someone who we could bring back from the edge, who otherwise is going to be lost because they can't take those steps, and that's not what I wanted to invoke. So, and I don't do that. I try not to invoke any spiritual connection to another big topic that people do that I write about. Um, which is forgiveness. To me, I want to discuss a methodical way to do it that does not depend on your religious background or belief. I want, and I think I do a good enough job. Certainly, I mean, someone will tell me I haven't, but that's the world.
Well, you really touch on a very sensitive matter for a lot of people, and is forgiveness, and a lot of a lot of people relate forgiveness always or most of the times to something spiritual, and we just mentioned how spirituality was not the biggest thing in your you overcoming the situation. So how do you relate all of this to forgiveness? How do you set forgiveness? Where how was this process of forgiving, and what does that mean to you?
For forgiveness to me is okay. So first of all, what is it, and then what is it to me? What is, I guess those may seem like the same thing. Maybe they are, but one, I consider forgiveness when you have removed or when you no longer have the desire to to have the other person experience a similar negative emotion that they may have caused in you. Okay, so if you kill my cat or something like that, that makes me sad and angry, and I'm like, man, I gotta go kill your cat now, right? So you can experience that, right? Or if I see you, maybe I hit you because I'm angry, and that makes you feel pain. Maybe not the same pain that I felt when you killed my cat, but we're getting there, right? So the whole idea behind forgiveness is that you're able to let that go. I call it balancing the emotion. You remove the emotional debt. You just wipe it off the books, and that is very important because if people if you live that way, one if you enact that revenge in a certain way, you're going to ruin a life and then beget another cycle. What do they say? An eye for an eye leaves the whole world blind. Sure, I believe that. Um, and you also run the risk of not being able to enact any type of revenge. Let's assume revenge could satisfy you. It won't, because we'll get to that in a moment. But let's assume it did, but you don't get a chance to do it. Well, now you're walking around with this grudge, this weight on your heart. There's a saying, they go, holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to get sick. It's not quite, because you can't do anything. These are just your feelings. You only feel that way. And that's why you have to let a lot of these things go. You have to figure out how to go, okay, I don't hold this against you. Now, I always make sure I preface my discussions with forgiveness with this. Forgiveness is for your soul. Forgiveness is for your internal feeling. Forgiveness is for your mind. Justice is just as important, and that is to maintain order. Look, you, I'm going to forgive you, but I still might have to, execute you according to the laws, or maybe not execute, but put you in, but
You,
put you
you're
in
getting
prison
you're
or
getting
something.
too communist with that concept of
Yeah.
executing.
Well, yeah. So like put you in jail or something. We'll go there. But
Right. So it's like forgive. It's like forgive but not forget, kind of the concept.
yeah, and one of the things I use to describe this idea is like victims of like child abuse or sexual abuse. The law is going to take care of them, but it will not take care of you. You still have to deal with all that trauma and damage. And there's no way that you can, like, there's nothing you can do that will remove that. So you have to work on forgiveness, and that's where it comes in practically. Like if you're abused as a child, there's nothing you can do as an adult. Especially if the person goes to jail. What's that going? You still got a whole bunch of other damage inside that you
Hmm.
got to figure out and deal with. And a lot of it, man. Look, therapy helps, but there's a component that you got to deal with as well. And I think that bridge between past trauma and present resolution is walked. That bridge is forgiveness. You walk across that bridge.
Mm. Well, that's really interesting. I mean, we all have different, I guess, concepts of forgiveness, and a lot of the approaches we take to that concept are spiritual, as I was mentioning. Kind of the regular forgive because you lost, and not really, forgive because it's what you need, to heal. So were you really, did everyone in life you probably damaged at some point forgave you? And if any didn't, if anyone if someone did not, how do you feel about that?
I have no idea. Um, all I know is this, right? I know that as we grow, we learn, and part of learning is making mistakes. And an unfortunate part of making these mistakes is that due to the nature of society, a lot of these mistakes will involve other humans. There comes a point where you learn and you grow and you develop a sense of empathy, and you're able to go, wow, I really messed up. I made a mistake, and nothing you say can undo that, right? It's what is that example they give? They go, break a plate, then tell the plate you're sorry. You see the plate still broken, that's how your apology sounds. But what you can do though is you can make sure you don't do it again in the future. You can seek to do resolution, because in this case, their intention matters a lot, even if they don't accept it. You do what you can, but don't dwell, and you prevent doing anything again in the future. That's the only way to handle these things.
So kind of my understanding of what you're saying is, part of forgiving or offering that to people as well is what you have done, right? Without even having to go ask people directly for forgiveness, kind of redeeming yourself to becoming someone better, and writing and doing these things that actually prove to society that not everything is always lost.
Right. Nothing, dude. As long as you're here, nothing is lost. Now you can get so close to zero that it's effectively lost. I mean, there's some people that there ain't no coming back for a lot of folks, practically speaking. But in terms, or rather, not practically versus practical versus theory, but external versus internal. At some point, look, if you kill somebody, man, look, you're going to jail for life. That's it. Your external privileges have been cut off with the rest of the world, but you still have a chance to use your life and work on your internal perception of things, kind of dig deep and see what happens, perhaps make the prison environment a little better, who knows. But there's always a way. If you're here, it's not a loss. It may be all. Now you can lose your ability to interact with the world, But you don't have to lose your soul. You can always get that back. I really believe that.
Right, right. Hey, we're kind of running out of time here, but I want to know in that same line of kind of forgiveness and redeeming yourself, and doing something better for everyone else, or trying to help other people. In that regard, what are your plans? In terms of helping other people. I mean, I feel like a lot of your writing and sharing your story. First takes a lot of courage for someone to share that story, and I think it's something that we all admire about Ed. But also in terms of are you do you help out in any sort of NGOs or any sort of groups? Do you do any of that extra work?
Extra work? No. I mean, I'll occasionally I haven't done in a little while, and now you can't, which is crazy. But stopping to meetings, meetings for AA. But now I do a lot of that online. That's the best part about the internet. People can reach out to me, and I can talk with them about different addictions and vices and really help them out. I ran a group for guys trying to get off porn addiction. I just finished that up. So I help where I can. I mean, I'm really there are a few things you got to find the intersection where to help, right? What you care about, what you can help in, and where your reach is, like the role you can play. And I'm really fortunate that that last thing, the reach I have, and then I've overcome quite a bit, and so people trust my words. So now it's just a matter of finding them and getting in touch, and because I'm pretty vocal about the issues, on my website or things I tweet about, people know to reach out to me, know to talk to me, and you can do quite a bit of work and be quite busy just answering the lifestyle questions on the internet.
So just before we kind of wrap it up here, I want you to talk a little bit about your future plans, future projects, and also if you want to share with us a little bit about where are you planning to travel next. I know you're a big traveler,
Oh yeah.
Anna.
Future plans. Right now, I'm working on a book proposal to get my first book actually published, and that'll be a cool thing. Some writing more content on my website and just continuing to grow that. That's like my little piece of digital real estate. I'm a big fan of that. Um, I was thinking about going back to school and studying meteorology at the graduate level, whether that be master's or PhD, but we'll see about that. And as far as where we travel next to, travel opens up again. We had a plan to go to Quebec, and we love Quebec, but if not, we're pretty sure Mexico is going to be open because they haven't shut down. So we have plans to go to Mexico in October, I believe. So yeah, those are the next bit of plans, and hopefully I get to travel and my Spanish will be even more useful. Though I've been told in Puerto Vallarta that they're not really they all speak English. So
Oh yeah, yeah, they do. It's in the Pacific, and it's really nice. It's on that side of Mexico. Um, hey, I cannot, I can't let you go without asking you this. What's the best place on earth that you've been to? I mean, you're a world traveler with Anna. What's the best place
the
the one
my
you
my
felt the most?
favorite. Oh man, okay. So I can tell you my favorite vacation so far has been we flew up to Quebec City in January. And when we landed, it was negative 16 degrees Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit.
Not-
So Celsius, that's like what is that like 10 to negative 10 ish?
mm,
Negative 5.
yeah.
Uh, it was cold, man. But it was great. It was like eternal Christmas. It was awesome. A lot of snow. We went dog sled racing, or not well, racing, but dog sledding. That was a lot of fun. And then, but until favorite man, dude, I really I called it the Hana. I'm not just saying that because you're Colombian and you're there. I really enjoyed that place. My favorite, one of my favorite things, aside from the Michael Jackson impersonator that like held up traffic in Gethsemane, there was Watching the sunset, man, at the wall was awesome. I didn't realize the city was that big, man. It's like 1.3 million people there when I checked. Cause I just was like, oh, how cool would it be to come back? And it was a really really nice event. And plus, I got to use Spanish, and I got to feel useful because whenever we go to like Quebec or France, Anna is the god, and I got to like say things and be useful.
Nice, nice. Well, I really appreciate your time, and you coming to GC Global, giving us this quick interview about, your life story, what you've done, what projects you've been working on. I really appreciate it. And I hope at some point, throughout the next couple of months or years, we catch up somewhere in the world, and we can go, grab a drink or something, and just catch up about all this time that I've been out of Pittsburgh. And this is your time, to say goodbye, and of course advertise any books and projects and websites that
Oh yeah,
you're working
well,
on.
I just like to let people know, I'm Ed Latimore everywhere. Ed Latimore on Twitter, Ed Latimore on Instagram, edlatimore.com. It's my website. Ed Latimore just flashed up there. Yeah, plug that in. Uh, you'll find me, and that's pretty much it. I mean, I don't really like to advertise anything, and specifically because I have so many different things, and really, even if you don't spend money, just coming to check out an article is great.
Thanks, Ed. I really appreciate this time. Please say hi to Anna for me. Um,
Absolutely.
and hope to catch up with you guys at some point. And thank you to all of those who have watched this live with Ed Latimore. Go follow him on social media. Go check out his website. And if you ever have the chance, try to beat him in chess. Thanks a lot for your time, guys. Hope to see you in the next live next Thursday. Bye bye.